So I wanted to ask you about the latest after our exchanges on, I guess it was Tuesday, about the aid situation and this new UN Commission report that is very harshly critical of Israel. One, since Tuesday, have you seen anything that would make you think that they are now more in compliance with the criteria that were laid out in the letter? And number two, what do you think of this UN Commission's?
Let me get to the second part of your question first. As it relates to the UN Commission, I've seen some of that reporting, and we've seen some language coming out of that indicative of their belief that some of the actions could be constituted as, this is their phrasing, genocide. That is something we would unequivocally disagree with. Again, we think that that kind of phrasing and those kinds of accusations are certainly unfounded. As it relates to the humanitarian situation, I laid out on Tuesday some of the steps that we have seen taken. We expect some additional steps to take place as well over the course of this week. Particularly, we anticipate that the IDF and COGAT may make some adjustments to the list of items, the dual-use items that would be allowed to be categorized within humanitarian aid. Certainly, progress in that space would build on the many things that I outlined the other day on Tuesday. And all in all, what we want to see is all of these things in their totality continue to contribute to an improvement in the humanitarian circumstances on the ground.
But they haven't done that yet.
That we expect a decision to be made on that sometime this week.
And there's still been no meeting of this civilian harm reduction.
That is my understanding. But again, these items were
October 31st, even before the last the deadline on Tuesday.
Certainly, our hope and our expectation is such an engagement happens as soon as possible. But ultimately, Matt, look, we talked a little bit about this the other day. We want to make sure that these kinds of efforts are sustained over an extended period of time. You and I and many others have had a fairly extensive back and forth on Tuesday about the contents of the original letter that Secretaries Blinken and Austin sent in October, but also the results that we're seeing on the ground. Obviously, colleagues in the humanitarian space had some perspectives and points of view on this and well. And I say all this to say that at the end of the day, we welcome criticism of the United States record. Certainly, we even welcome criticism of Israel's record when it's warranted. But certainly, it ultimately, at the end of the day, needs to be grounded in facts. And the facts are is that on many of the items that were outlined in this letter that was sent by the secretaries, we have seen progress and steps in the appropriate direction. What we need to see now is these kinds of events sustained over a significant period of time, and our hope is that through the significant progress steps that we've seen, that the operational space has been created to see an additional inflow of trucks, see an additional inflow of humanitarian aid, that all in all, contributing will hopefully help address the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
All right, well, yeah, I mean, you keep using the word hope and the words hope and expectation. It's at this point, it kind of sounds like, thoughts and prayers being offered for victims of tragedies, which are you saying that all accusations against Israel are unfounded?
No, what I'm saying is the accusation of genocide, specifically in that UN commission, those accusations are unfounded. Also, in the point that I was making about criticism of Israel needing to be grounded in facts, our viewpoint is that some of the metrics that were outlined by some of these humanitarian groups in their scorecard release the other day are inconsistent with what we're seeing on the ground. And just some examples of that, that scorecard said that humanitarian aid had been cut off in the north. That is not accurate from our reporting and not accurate from our engagements with people in the region. Food and supplies had been delivered to Gaza City for weeks now, and last week we've also saw some progress in Jabalia and some of the surrounding areas. That scorecard had said that the Musawi humanitarian zone had not been expanded. also not true. We have seen the humanitarian zone in Musawi expanded. So there are just some simple things like this that we think are inconsistent with the facts on the ground. That does not mean to say that the humanitarian situation in Gaza is perfect. It's not, as I said on Tuesday, but any criticism of the United States or Israel and our humanitarian undertaking absolutely needs to be grounded in the truth on the ground. And some of those metrics are inconsistent with what our colleagues and those who have been engaged on this deeply are seeing directly.